for lifespan. I start in 1800, and there are all the countries. And back in 1800, everyone was down in the poor and sick corner. Can you see? Low lifespan, little money. And here comes the effect of the Industrial Revolution. Of course, the countries in West Europe, they are coming to better wealth, but they are not getting much healthier in the beginning. And those under colonial domination doesn't benefit anything in there. They remain there in the sick and poor corner. And now health is improving, health is slowly improving here. It's getting up here, and we are coming into the new century, and the terrible First World War, and then the economic recession after that, and then the Second World War. Ooh. And now independence, and with independence health is improving faster than it ever did in other countries here. And now starts the fast economic catch-up of China and other Latin American countries. They come on here, you know, and India is following there, and the African countries is also following. It's an amazing change that had happened in the world. You know, in the front here we have now US and UK, but they're not moving so fast any longer. The fast movers are here in the middle. China is moving very fast to catch up. And Bangladesh, look, Bangladesh is already here, now quite healthy, and now starting with fast economic growth. And Mozambique, yes, Mozambique is back there, but they are now moving fast in the right direction. But all this I show you is country averages. What about people? Have people also got a better life? I'm now going to show you something which makes me very excited as a statistician. I'm going to show you income distribution, the difference between people. And to do that, I take the bubbles back 50 years, and then we are going to look only at money. And to do that, we have to expand and adjust the axis, because the richest is so rich and the poorest is so poor. So this will be a bigger difference than between the countries. And what we do now is that we let the country fall down here, this is United States, and spread to show the range within the country. And I take down all the countries in the Americas. And now you can see from the richest person to the poorest person. And the height here shows you how many there are on each income level. And now let's take down Europe. And on top of that, I'm going to put Africa. And finally, the region with most people, on top of everything, Asia. Now, in 1963, the world was constituted by two humps. First, the richest hump. It's like a camel, isn't it? The first hump here with the richest is mainly Europe and the Americas. And the poorest hump over here is mainly Asia and Africa. And the poverty line was there. Can you see how many people there were in extreme poverty 50 years ago? And most of them were in Asia. And people were saying Asia will never get out of poverty. Exactly as some people are still saying about Africa today. Now, what has happened? I start the world. And you can see that many people are born into poverty here, but Asia goes towards higher income, and 1 billion goes out of extreme poverty this way. And the whole shape of the world changed, and the camel is dead. It's reborn as a dromedary. And what you can see here, you know, is the variation from the richest, that is most people in the middle. And there's a much smaller proportion of the world now in extreme poverty. But be careful, it's still a lot of people, more than 1 billion people in extreme poverty. Now the question is, can this move out of extreme poverty now continue for those in Africa and even for the new billions in Africa? Imagine if that would happen. Now, what we have seen so far is that the rich end, it moves. And the middle, it moves. But this poorest end is stuck. It's here in extreme poverty we find almost all the illiteracy. Here we find high child mortality and still many babies born per woman. It's like extreme poverty reproduces itself if you don't end it swiftly. But Andre and Olivia and people like them, they work so hard to get away from it. And if they only can get the right help from their government and from the world at large, with things like school, health, vaccines, roads, electricity, contraceptives, then they will manage, but they will mainly manage by their own hard work. Here we go, you know, go on, follow Andrea and Olivia across the line, you know. It is possible within some decades, yes. But getting out of poverty is just the beginning. People want to continue along this line to a good life. But what does a good life mean? I'm not the best person to tell you how bad climate change will be, nor am I a specialist on how to prevent it. What I can do is to show you data to make you understand who is the one that emits the carbon dioxide. I will show this. You remember the yardstick from the poorest billion to the richest billion, from the one who hardly can afford shoes to the one who fly with airplanes. Now, this shows the total amount of fossil fuel used in the world during 1 year. Coal, oil, and natural gas. And it represents more or less the total emission of carbon dioxide. Now, how much of that is used by the richest billion? Half of it. Now, the second richest billion? Half of what's left. Then you understand what the third use. Half of what's left. And the others use hardly anything. This is rounded numbers, but it clearly shows, you know, that almost all the fossil fuel is used here by the 1, 2, 3 richest billions. More than 85% they use. Now, the richest billion here at least have stopped increasing, but we are yet to see whether they will decrease. And in the coming decades, it's the economic growth of these two that will increase the fossil fuel use and the carbon dioxide emission. Even if these ones over here come out of extreme poverty and get richer all the way to the motorbike, that doesn't contribute much to the emission of carbon dioxide. And regarding population growth, most of the additional billions in the next 40 years will be in this group here. But still, if you ask people in the richest end, they seem to get everything wrong. They look down on the world from their very high emission, and then they say, oh, those over there, you cannot live like us. You will destroy the planet. You see, I find the argument from the people here catching up to be much more correct and logic. They say, who are you to tell us that we can't live like you? You better change first if you want us to do it differently. Now, what I'm going to do is ask you 2 questions that I often ask my Swedish students. The first one is this: how many of you have not traveled by an airplane this year? Quite a few can do without flying. So the next question is, how many of you have stayed away from washing machines and you have hand washed all bed sheets, clothes and laundry during the last year? I thought so. No one. Everyone who can afford use washing machine, even the hardcore in the environmental movement. And I still remember the day when my family got the washing machine. It was the 1st of November, 1952. Grandma was invited to be the first to load the machine. She had hand washed her entire life for a family of 9. And when she loaded the machine, she sat down on a footstool and she watched the entire program during 1 hour. She was absolutely mesmerized. For my mother, it also meant a lot of more free time to do other things. She could read books for me. I think that's what made me professor. No wonder we said, thank you steel mill, thank you washing powder factory, thank you electrical power station. Now, when thinking about where all this leaves us, I have just one little humble advice to you. Beside everything else, look at the data. Look at the facts about the world, and you will see where we are today and how we can move forwards with all these billions on our wonderful planet. The challenge of extreme poverty have been greatly reduced, and it's for the first time in history within our power to end it for good. The challenge of population growth is in fact already being solved. The number of children have stopped growing. And for the challenge of climate change, we can still avoid the worst. But that requires that the richest, as soon as possible, find a way to set their use of resources and energy at a level that step by step can be shared by 10 billions or 11 billions by the end of this century. I've never called myself an optimist, but I do say I'm a possibilist. And I also say the world is much better than many of you think. Thank you very much. To test your own assumptions about the world and to explore the issues behind the numbers, go to bbc.co.uk/don'tpanic, where you will find links to the Open University's free learning website, Open Learning. You will also find links to Gapminder, where you can explore all the data and its sources.
And the realities of population growth in developing world countries later, when BBC Two heads to the Philippines and the world's busiest maternity ward in Manila at 11:20. But next we'll mock the week again.